Are you amazing at sword PvP, but whenever your opponent pulls out a shield you get absolutely slimed? Or maybe you just get slimed anyways, no matter what. Well, I'm Swight. I am ranked the #1 shield PvPer in the world, and in this video, I'm going to turn you from a shield noob into a shield god. Also, just a reminder, don't forget to like and subscribe. We are almost at 30k and it helps a ton. I am expecting you to have a basic understanding of PvP mechanics. If you don't, I recommend you go watch the Intel Edits guide. I'll link it in the description. Anyways, the key to getting better at shield PvP is understanding exactly how it works. You block the shield by holding down right click, and during this, any attacks in front of you won't deal any damage. The only way to get your opponent's shield down is with an axe. Hitting your opponent's shield with your axe will cause their shield to go on a cooldown for 5 seconds. That's the basic of how the shield works, but now the less obvious stuff. First things first, something people tend to misinterpret is how shield delay works. Have you ever sworn your shield was up, but it seems like your opponent hit right through it? Well, that's shield delay, and this isn't some weird bug, it is actually a vanilla feature. All shields have a natural 250 millisecond delay until it starts blocking after clicking right click. Add your ping to this number, and that's the amount of time it will take for your shield to actually start blocking. Lastly, to fully understand the shield, you gotta know the difference between sprinting and walking behind the shield. If you start sprinting then holding right click, you will move faster and have greater momentum versus shielding first then moving forwards. You never want to be behind your shield without sprinting. Now, how do we use this information to actually win our fights? Well, first we're going to work on our shield disables. The key to winning any shield PvP fight is knowing when and how to disable. There are 3 main types of shield disables. We have the standard disable, the double click, and the stun. Preferably, you want to stun, which involves the double clicking mouse technique. I have a tutorial on how to do this linked below, but if you can't stun, then you can just click twice really fast instead. The reason we do this is because it halts our opponent's movement by launching them in the air and cancels their momentum, which allows us to set up for our next move. Now that you know how to disable, I'm going to show you the main types of momentum breaks and disable timings for each major scenario. First, we have the standard momentum break. You sprint jump at your opponent and disable their shield, then instantly jump reset and switch the sword and go for a crit. If you want a more detailed explanation on how to do this, I'll link Orbitorm's tutorial in the description. Next, we have the P-crit momentum break. You sprint at your opponent without jumping, then disable their shield, letting you P-crit with the sword. Next, we have the 3-block disable. You disable from 3 blocks away, preferably sneaking to lower your hitbox, causing your opponents to miss, which can be followed up by either a sword crit, a sword knockback hit, or an axe crit. I personally prefer the axe crit, but everyone has their own preferences. It's up to you to experiment. Also, in any scenario where a strategy expects your opponent to hit you, but they end up missing, always jump through them and go for a backstab. This will mess up their aim. Next, I'm going to go over some shield disable defenses for when your shield is getting disabled. Auto hit. The auto hit is performed by spamming left click while holding down right click, causing you to automatically hit your opponent when your shield is disabled. Next, we have the auto crit. The auto crit is similar to the auto hit, but what you do is predict when your opponent is going to disable your shield and jump so that when they disable your shield you can instantly get a crit. The P-crit. P-critting is a really effective technique because players are usually expecting an auto hit. All you have to do is P-crit off of their disable. Now, when to use these strategies is really important. Start off your game by holding the axe. I see a lot of players start with the sword, but there is really no point because it does less damage and it can't disable a shield. The only reason we use the sword is for the shorter cooldown. But if we aren't in a scenario where you need the faster cooldown, always use the axe. For example, at the beginning of the round or when you and your opponent create distance. Start your games off by going for a standard momentum break. Either one of 2 things are going to happen. You either are going to get a momentum break off or you're going to crit them with your axe. In any scenario where you get an axe crit instead of a disable, always switch to your sword immediately and be ready to disable their shield when they put it up. But you can usually get an extra sword crit off when you switch instantly. The only situations where you should be going for 3-block disables is when they have very little momentum. For example, almost every player has a habit of putting their shield up right after getting hit, and while they're putting their shield up here, they'll have 0 momentum. But this is really predictable and the perfect opportunity to go for a 3-block disable. The P-crit momentum break should be used mid-game more than the momentum break. This is because your spacing isn't too important to pull this off, and it's pretty predictable if you do it at the beginning of the game. These 3 disables should be used whenever you have the momentum, meaning you're moving forward and your opponent is moving backwards. You should be the one disabling, but in any situation where you're moving backwards and they are moving forwards, try to use one of the 3 shield defenses from earlier to get away and reset. Remember, the auto hit is the most consistent, so when in doubt, auto hit. Now finally, the most important part of shield PvP is sword and shield PvP. This is a situation that happens practically every encounter, where both of you have your shield and you fight with your swords. Usually these only last about 2 to 5 hits, but it happens so often that it adds up over time. My greatest piece of advice is to make a kit with just a sword, a shield, and some armor, and then practice that. Now you're probably wondering how you win this situation. Well, that's where the vanilla shield delay comes in. Whenever someone unblocks to hit you, it will take a moment for their shield to go back up. So that's when you want to hit. Wait for your opponent to hit your shield, then respond with a hit of your own. To wrap this up, I'm going to go over some basic mistakes and how to fix them. Number 1, we have unshielding whenever your opponent jumps close to you. This is a bad habit that a lot of players have. Even I mess it up sometimes. It's a natural reaction to try to hit your opponent when they jump in your face. So staying calm and waiting for the auto hit is the best possible choice you can make in this situation. Number 2, not shielding quick enough before and after hits. A lot of players leave the gap between shielding and hitting way too large. Whenever you hit, unblock your shield for as little time as possible when you sweep. This is for the chance that you get an insta shield off. While this does rely on your opponent messing up, which is why I didn't put this as one of the main strategies, it is still really helpful and actually it does occur a decent amount of the time. Lastly, we have shielding too late when jumping at your opponent. If you are planning on jumping at your opponent with your shield up, make sure you shield immediately after jumping or you might get hit away. This usually catches you really off guard and immediately puts you in a position where you can get 3 blocks done. That's the end of this video. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. See ya.